Hi, welcome back to another video. So, this is a different backdrop, but I am currently with my parents at their family home, and I have this little guy for company. He's my dog, but yeah, so today I wanted to talk about how and why I changed my diet. I don't know if you've seen other videos where I talk about this, and I eat a diet which is very similar to paleo. Do you want to sit in a more comfortable position? No, he wants to go. I'm gonna let him out. Give me a second. Yeah, so my diet. As I was saying, it's very similar to paleo in the sense that, sorry, in the sense that we, a lot of the restrictions that you have in paleo, we also have. So basically this diet was recommended to me by a doctor, like one of my doctors, and it is technically it's like a anti-inflammatory diet. The fact is that eating healthily and avoiding inflammation in general in your body just makes you more healthy, and in turn then it helps us keep a more, it just helps avoid flares and stuff, because obviously there's a lot of IBS kind of symptoms, and there's a lot of things like that. So a lot of the fibromyalgia treatments aren't exactly treating the sickness, they're just treating your symptoms that come with the illness. So yeah, so I tried out the diet. The doctors said that it could or could not work, but that I should try it just to try, you know? And the truth is that it has worked for me in the sense that I have a lot less symptoms of IBS, or they're a lot less pronounced. So I still get strong stomach aches sometimes, but it's not very often. And yeah, it's just a lot more comfortable for me. So that is why I changed my diet. So what do I and what don't I eat? I think it's easier to sort of list the things that I don't eat and then everything else I do. There's two things on the list that I don't actually follow through because I find that it's a really restrictive, and because I was starting out in this new diet and I had no idea, it was already such a new thing that I didn't want to go too far. Like, I didn't want it to be even a lot harder than it had to be. So I mean, yeah. Okay, so the things that I don't follow but are on the list are no foods cooked over 100 degrees Celsius, and no sweet fruits. So fruits that have too high of a sugar content. But I don't really know that much about like fruit sugar contents, and one of my favorite things to eat is fruit. It was already one of my favorite things before I got sick, and now that it's like I don't eat sugar and things like that, it's just like I love fruit. So I just eat fruit that is in season, and I try to eat like, you know, good quality fruit, but I don't avoid like overly sweet fruits because I don't even know what that means. So those are the only two things that I don't follow through. So other things on the list, the biggest thing and my absolute no-no that I never ever even touch is gluten. It was quite hard for me to give up because I was a big fan of bread and a big fan of pasta. So if I just had to live on pasta for the rest of my life, I like totally would have. But I noticed that as soon as I stopped eating that, my stomach went a lot less bloated, and I just felt better. You know, it just made everything in this area feel better. So I decided that I would carry on with that. So that is the thing that I get the worst reaction from, and that is the thing that makes me more uncomfortable, and it's the one thing that even when I eat outside of my diet, that's the one thing I always avoid. So gluten is my biggest enemy right now. The other thing that we don't eat is dairy, but I was lactose intolerant before. And actually, it had like ups and downs, but I was actually in a stage where it wasn't too bad. But so what I do is I eat lactose-free things, and so I don't eat, oh, what a beautiful bird. Oh, I just love it here. Look at that. Such a pretty bird. He's just like, hello. Anyway, so I eat lactose free. So nowadays there's a lot of lactose free things. So there's, everything from butter to cream to, to everything. So if I can get it lactose free, I do. But if I go out and to dinner and there's something with cheese on it and I'm feeling fine, like I normally will go for it and it's not too bad of a reaction. But I do try to avoid it to some extent because I think it's best to avoid it, and then I can splurge a little bit sometimes rather than having it all the time and then maybe, I don't know. This just works for me. The next thing on the list is sugar. So I don't eat any refined sugar. I only eat like honey or agave syrup or, like natural sugars so if I'm making a cake, I can use like apple puree or like a banana or honey, like I said. You can also use maple syrup and things like that. So in that sense, it's pretty similar to paleo. I will eat sugar sometimes, but it is like this, it's like the lactose. Like I will make exceptions when it's just easier to do that, but I do try to avoid it as much as possible. The other big thing on the list is red meats. So I only eat white meats and fish. So anything that's red meat, like beef or pork or other red meats, I don't know, we avoid. Next was coffee. So I don't eat, but I already didn't drink coffee. Alcohol, but already I wasn't like a big drinker. I would have a glass of wine sometimes at parties or whatever, but also with my medication, it's really unadvised to drink alcohol, so I just avoid it altogether. I will put wine in food sometimes just for like flavoring, but I do make sure that all the alcohol evaporates before I eat it, so in that sense that I'm safe. And it's very like occasional for certain dishes, Vinegar, I don't know why, but it's on the list, so I don't touch it. But I can totally live without vinegar because I just use lemon juice instead. Potatoes, so I think it's because they're very starchy and very like, I don't know, just potatoes. And corn, which is really actually quite difficult. They use like corn flour or cornstarch to make gluten-free flours and like flour mixes and like pizza crusts and whatever, like a lot of things that are gluten-free. If you look into the ingredients, they will have potatoes and corn in some form. There are some things that I follow through more than others because what my doctor told me most than anything is when changing my diet, it can be like a stressful factor. And stress is a bigger enemy to me than food right now. Because obviously if you have fibro, you know that stress is like the thing that we have to avoid at all costs. So if I'm getting stressed over my diet, it's not going to do me any good because I'm stressed. So it's all about balance and it's all about finding stuff that works for me. What I try to avoid at all costs is gluten. Everything else, I do avoid it. Like I don't normally cook with sugar. I don't normally cook with dairy. I use dairy, lactose free. I use like all of this stuff at home, and most of the time I do eat at home, so it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. When I go out to eat, but I will eat something outside of the diet if that's the only option, or if I really fancy it, or if it's like a special event. So I do like break it because I find that I don't want to restrict myself too much because already this condition is so restricting, and it's so, it can be so disabling and just restricting that and I've had to give up so many things that I loved doing and so many things that were part of my identity and part of me, and I don't want to have to be giving up everything, and I know that sounds maybe silly to some people, but like as long as it's not upsetting my stomach, I just roll with it. And another thing that I don't eat is fried foods. I knew there was something else in there. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a like and maybe comment so we can be friends and chit chat. Let me know what your diet is and things that work for you that maybe I haven't tried. And yeah, and consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more things and to support me. It would mean so much to me and I'd be really appreciative. And yeah, so I hope you have a wonderful week and I will see you in the next video. Bye!